like that.
Let me add this.
Somebody connected.
Let me add this because what you're saying, it made me
Yeah,
think about this. Do you believe the LGBTQ agenda is another refuge for pedophiles? Because
absolutely.
we've seen them take refuge in churches. We've seen them take refuge in Hollywood, in entertainment, in music, in every area. So why
Yeah.
wouldn't this be a greater opportunity for a pedophile? And let's just think about it. To say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm just part of the LGBTQ community and continue to prey on young men and young women uh with and use the LGBTQ uh as a covering. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I'm saying? And if you come against them to utilize recently instituted LGBTQ laws to keep their identities hidden. You get me?
Well, it gives them it gives them because like when I was at the courts years ago, it wasn't people were doing things undercover
Right.
that were known, right? And protected. Now, the way they do things, you can be as open and as strange and bizarre as you want to be, and you're extra protected, and it can be in the public eye. Much like you said about the Dalai Lama, much like you said about other people, it's more out there and it can be much more well received. And as the years go on, the more and more see my hands, the doors open,
Yeah.
they open up,
Yeah.
and then you got a catastrophe on your hands.
This is why this is why I say this, Drew, is because we know from
Yeah,
young, when we were young, and I'm older than you, but even when I was younger, and the generation before me, that these pedophiles do exist. They exist
yes,
in families. And
yes.
just name all the entities and places where they exist, right? Does the homosexuality, the LGBTQ agenda, wouldn't that be wouldn't that be like Disneyland to them, to a pedophile?
Yep, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
It would be like Disneyland to them.
it's going to make it harder to identify it because now you got certain laws, and then you got certain people who will try to institute those laws against anyone
Yes,
who may try to rightfully go after a pedophile. You see
yeah,
what I'm saying? Rightfully, because you don't have no business doing anything to no children.
that's right.
So
Correct.
I don't care what agenda you associated with. We have to speak out against that. So I believe that there is a potential. I know that there's a link. There's a link, right, between homosexuality and pedophilia.
Mm-hmm.
And now that might not be every case, but there is a link.
Oh yeah, there's a definite link. Like I said, it's not everybody,
Yeah,
but
in the church.
there's a big percentage that
Yeah,
come from that. Like,
yeah, anytime
like,
you sit in the church and exercise pedophilia,
yeah,
anytime sit in a company, own a company or something and exercise pedophilia, wherever they may be. You can't tell me that with all this legislative practice coming around the LGBT community, and this is not saying nothing wrong, we just telling the truth,
right.
that won't give them more opportunity, and that's just a fact. And if we don't say nothing about it, then before we know it, they'll be knocking on your door, just like in Sodom and Gomorrah,
Yeah,
asking for the men
exactly.
out and have their way with. You see what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. And here's the big thing. I don't know what you said, Tank, if I could. Um, how, ladies and gentlemen, everybody that watches this whole thing, ask yourself this question: how are homosexuals made?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we all know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now put that in motion. If that's how they're made, that means somebody made them, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that gets back to pedophilia. That gets back to violation. Even if you're a young adult in prison, somebody takes your stuff. You think you have to be a practicing homosexual now. Some people crack up, right?
Right.
That's what happens.
Right.
So see, it's homosexual practices
Mm-hmm.
that cause
This is right.
these predators, these pedophilias, these trans, help me out here, that want to change because they've been violated so much, that now, but combined with that, we have also an age of just people just think it's a popular thing to do with that in there.
Right.
And that's how they'll justify, well, it's a lot of a thing, my friends and I did this, and and I feel like a woman today, and all that stuff like that. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that goes into it. Right. But people don't want to treat it the right way. Okay. Because when we go back, homosexual marriage, right?
Yeah.
We legislated, did that, put that out there.
We were against it for a while.
Right. And then when we opened up the door for it, a lot of people said that you're going to open the door for other things. Right. And people said, that's preposterous. It's not going to happen. 2023, what's going on? Right? That's what happened. That's what happened. And it opened up the door for many things to come around the corner. That's exactly.
And you make a great point, brother, because you would have to be a person that has paid no attention to this particular subject to say that we are saying something hateful or we are lying. We're not. We're talking about practical experiences. And here at the Real Man Movement, supporting real woman wisdom, we deal with these hard topics.
Yeah.
You don't hear many people talk about this because I'm not concerned about no monetary. I'm concerned about getting out the truth.
Absolutely.
I'm a man. I'm an American. I love all people. Even if you're homosexual, I still love you. I just don't, I don't love the practice.
Yeah.
So I stand on that particular principle. That's it. If somebody's a smoker, you might not like them as a smoker. You ain't around them when they smoking, but y'all cool other than that. But these are the topics that real men and real women need to go discuss and examine from an intellectual position, not from an emotional position.
Right.
But once again, I'm going to ask, if you are part of the LGBTQ community and you want to have a competent discussion, it's not targeting you, not criticizing or anything, but we can come here and have a plausible conversation about a topic that is ingrained in American society right now. The history of the LGBTQ movement is in America. So we're dealing with a topic that may be sensitive, but we have not been disrespectful in any way.
No.
I hate pedophiles. I'm gonna tell you that now.
Absolutely.
People, but pedophiles, because they ruin the lives of children, men and women. Right. And there are female pedophiles, and I've come across them. Y'all don't act like there's not female pedophiles. Some of y'all grew up in a household where your auntie was a pedophile. You grew up there, your cousin was a pedophile, and they were females. Y'all knew this. They
all these teachers that get busted.
Right. Look at all the teachers.
And how many?
The question is, we're asking, and we're asking to all the fans to leave a comment. Do you believe the LGBTQ agenda is more of a safe haven for pedophiles? Because what's happening with pedophilia? Pedophilia is trying to surface its head through the LGBTQ agenda. And we can't just watch that. If you're a real man or a real woman, you need to be on your platform speaking like we're speaking against it. Against pedophilia. Because before you know it, just like the LGBTQ agenda took some years, it took some generations for them to get what they want.
Absolutely.
If we keep turning this blind eye, if we stay stuck on stupid, worrying about all this foolishness on social media instead of speaking about these real topics that can bring about a sincere change in America, then you're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution. What you got for closing remarks, Brother Drew?
This is what I'm going to say, Tank, and I think this is really important. Check this out. Okay, so a lot of people in the homosexual community say, well, I'm not a pedophile and I don't molest kids and, I only date or whatever with adults. Okay, then here's your call as an American.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. And over in Europe as well. Here's your call. Then you need to make a stand showing the world that you do not embrace grooming children for trans surgery and grooming children for sexual acts. If you really are saying that you're all that, then come forward and do that. That's what I would say. Come forward and say that it's wrong. Come forward and say that children should not be messed with.
That's right.
That these things should not be going on. That our country should not be overran by these crazy ideas and these crazy things.
Right.
If it's all what you choose to do in the bedroom, but you do it with as adults and with consent and everything, then how come you're not standing?
That's right. That's right.
With all this craziness going on. See, so that's the question.
How about we do this? Let's say to the LGBT community, we're looking for you to be responsible.
Yeah, absolutely.
You to call out the pedophiles that exist inside of your community. You know who they are. Just like these families we're talking about who had pedophiles in them. They knew who they were.
Yeah.
If they were in your community, you knew, you had an idea who the pedophiles were. The problem is that when we stay silent, children get hurt.
That's right.
Children, you look at your children. If you have children, I don't care if they're adults, look at their baby picture and imagine someone taking their innocence because of a filthy lust.
Yeah.
Imagine someone ruining the life of a young man or a young woman because you sided with an agenda that gave them a safe haven. Think about that.